My family is going crazy and suing me because grandpa they didn't care about it all gave me his 8 millions as inheritance. I F19 have an estranged grandpa more or less. He's my dad's father, but my dad hardly had a relationship with him. I have two other siblings, one younger, 13, and one older, 26. My grandma divorced my grandpa when my dad was only 10, so he lived with my grandma his whole life in a different state and didn't see him. When he got older, he saw him a little more, and my grandpa started coming around a little bit more as well. He'd stay for a week at a time and then go home. He was an old, bitter man, to be honest. He never got remarried and lived his whole life in his coastal town with the same friends he'd had his whole life. He wasn't pleasant to be around and could hold grudges longer than anyone I've ever met. But regardless of this, he was filthy rich. He owned a successful business that he sold for $1 million. He retired after selling, but his house sits on an island as well as the biggest piece of land on the island. So it sold for well over $3 million. I was never close with my grandpa, but I took after his sister who was an RN, and he adores her. He always told me that he was proud to see me follow in her footsteps. He passed away a few months ago. Since then, my family has been torn apart. He left everything to me. He essentially liquidated all of his assets, and it ended up being close to $8 million. I was shocked. I didn't and still don't know what to do with the money, but I'm going to save it. My dad and stepmom as well as my siblings are hounding me to split the money with them. I just can't do it. My dad is an alcoholic who never said anything nice about his dad. Despite him being bitter, my grandpa actually bought my dad a $300,000 house. My dad would 100% drink away any money given to him. As far as my siblings, my brother has full financial support from my grandma, as he is the favorite, and he's very wasteful and ungrateful. He never talks to me and always is very mean to me when he does. My little sister is the only person I've actually considered. She's very young, and that's really the only thing stopping me. Her mom is money-oriented and would take the money from her. So I'm waiting until she turns 18, and I offered to pay for her college. But now my family is telling me I'm unfair and the money doesn't belong to me, and I'm not deserving of it. That I'm too young and I'll waste it on cars and clothes. I don't agree, and now they're all threatening to cut me off and never speak to me, or even sue me if I don't give them all a chunk of the money. I don't know what to do, and I'm buckling under pressure here. I've already had 2 police officers out to my house because my dad is claiming I stole the money from him. Everything was through an attorney. I know I did nothing wrong legally. But morally? Idk. So AITA? We have reached the end of the first part of our story. Let's listen to some of the comments by our Reddit listeners. Comment 1. NTA, my God, these entitled people. If they want to cut you off for money that your grandpa willed to you, show them the door. Buy yourself a lovely home and move away from them, pay for your sister's college, and save the rest. Comment 2. NTA, considering the circumstances you mentioned. Lawyer TF up. If they're gonna sue you, you might as well be prepared to deal with the BA. Also, in terms of money, I highly recommend you invest. I don't want to tell you what to do, but you can turn that $8 million into generational wealth that can continue to provide for your family for decades to come. Comment 3. Your grandfather was by all accounts a complete AH. So now, you're claiming your NTA because you're doing as he wishes? Split it with your siblings and other grandchildren. Let his selfish favoritism die with him, don't extend that legacy. If you're absolutely convinced your family is worthless and will squander everything, put a large sum into a trust that pays out $1,250 per MO to each of your siblings and parents. This is the federal tax-free gift maximum, and will set them up to never be unable to afford food and rent so long as they do the bare minimum of work. Update. First off, thank you to everyone for the advice, links, etc. It was greatly appreciated. It's been almost a month since my post, so I figured I'd try to update and clarify a few things. 1. My family and I have tried reaching out to my father to get him help, he's declined. Giving him money or even bribing him with money to get help wouldn't work like some of you suggested. It's already been tested literally not even 3 months ago. 2. My brother is fully supported by my grandparents despite being almost 30, and they have never done anything close to that for me. Therefore, I didn't feel it was necessary to give my brother anything as he had a very bad relationship with my grandpa, and only came around when he passed away. 3. My mother wasn't included in the story because I didn't think it was necessary. She has worked 3 jobs her whole life to support my brother, and I because my dad was negligent and threatened her so she never got child support. She's always supported us and provided for us even though my dad has always made double the amount she has. 4. I didn't ask for his money. I didn't have any previous knowledge. I was even in the will. I was upset when he passed because we had always been a bit closer than him and the rest of my siblings/family. 5. My grandfather bought my dad a very nice house. He didn't have to, but he did. My dad never said thank you. He doesn't keep it clean and doesn't take care of it. Simply, he doesn't deserve the money after everything that's even given/done for him. With all of that being said, here's what I've chosen to do. I set up an account for my little sister with enough money for a 4 to 6 year degree, a car, and a down payment on a house. I donated a sum of it to charities, bought myself a new car, and put the rest of it away into CDs that I can't touch for another 4 years unless I pay fees to withdraw the money. I plan to renew these accounts every few years or until I absolutely need it. Again, thank you to everyone. I was scared, lost, and overwhelmed. I couldn't have done this without all the support and advice I was given. I ignored my daughter after she ignored me her entire life because now she begs for money. I got pregnant with my daughter Emma at 18. I lived at home and was going to college and working. When I got pregnant, my parents kicked me out, and I had to move in with my ex. I dropped out of school and quit my job to take care of Emma, because my ex told me he would support me. When I was 22, he was 24, he graduated law school. He told me that I had to move out because he wanted to find a wife. My parents had forgiven me, so I moved in with them. We didn't have a court order, but we split custody pretty much 25-75 with me having more time. When Emma was 6, he married his now wife. She couldn't have any more kids and wanted Emma and her daughter to be sisters. Over the next 3 years, Emma spent less and less time with me. She'd throw a fit if I tried to pick her up. They gave her things I couldn't. When she was 8, she told me she hated me. I never blamed her for the lies her father put in her head, because even though I lived at home, I was in college and working and did my best to provide for her, but obviously they could do more. They took me to court when she was 10 and surprise, the lawyer and his doctor wife with their $1 million home beat me in court. They painted me out to be this horrible parent and Emma backed them up. They got primary custody and I got visitation. But Emma refused to see me. I gave her money and gifts. But she didn't want me in her life. When I was 30, I met my husband. He is the most amazing man I have ever met. He's seen me struggle with this and been very supportive. He has a daughter Emma's age and a son who is 5 years younger. They lost their mom and were very welcoming and loving. They treated me like their mom. Emma made zero efforts to get to know my husband and step-kids. Emma and stepdaughter just graduated high school this past May, and my parents also recently passed and gave me their estate since I am an only child. I have decided to pay for my stepdaughter's entire college tuition, and buy her a car, pay for an apartment. Emma contacted me a week ago and told me she missed me and wanted to see me. This shocked me, seeing as we haven't talked in a year. We met up and she told me she heard my parents passed away and asked if she could have some money to pay for college. I was shocked and said, "Well, what about your dad and his wife?" She said, "My mom and dad want me to pay for this on my own to teach me responsibility, and I believe I am entitled to money seeing as you ruined my life." I was very hurt and told her, after years of ignoring me and telling me I am not your mother, you demand money from me, I am not your wallet. My husband is telling me what I did was right, but my ex is telling me I'm a piece of crap and I owe this to her. My stepdaughter felt bad and offered her college money, because my daughter and her friends have been harassing her. I said absolutely not, that it is your money. AITA for not giving my daughter money after ignoring me her whole life? We have reached the end of the first part of our story. Let's listen to some of the comments by our Reddit listeners. Comment 1. This seems like one of those stories where the two sides would tell very different versions. Everyone is biased in stories like this. I would be interested to hear how Emma described the scenario / her upbringing, for instance. But taken at face value, based on what's here in TA. Comment 2. Her daughter has a level of hate for her far beyond I couldn't afford to buy her fancy stuff. Her daughter straight up told her she'd ruined her life and threatened to file a harassment suit against her. That's definitely far beyond she's mad because I couldn't buy her nice stuff territory. OP is also being extremely vague and deflective on any and all details. It really sounds like OP found the one possible reason for her daughter's hatred of her that can paint her as the victim and is running with that story. I refused to attend an event with boyfriend without him paying me and he is totally pissed, but I know I'm right. I'm a woman in a career field which really doesn't care about appearances. My boyfriend is in a job where looks matter more, investment banking. He wears suits and has to present himself as more wealthy to look good at work. My boyfriend wanted me to come to some work events, dinners, or happy hours. But he said that it was something we'd need to dress up for. I offered to wear some nice dresses I have and he said that it was more than that. His co-workers' wives and girlfriends wore designer clothes and had professionally done hair and nails. And that it really was just what was needed to succeed in his workplace, so he considered it a professional expense. I said that made sense for himself, but I'm not responsible for his professional expenses. He agreed to pay for the clothes and salon appointments, and I also asked him to compensate me for my time getting presentable for those events. Additionally, if he wanted me to act a certain way during these events which was different from my usual behavior at a social event, it should be treated like work, I'd expect to be paid for my time. He thought that was unfair, saying that it was weird to charge my boyfriend to attend an event with him. I said that if I'm not attending as myself, but instead presenting an image for business development purposes, that's not socializing, that's labor. He agreed to that at the end, and we came up with a list of things I'd need to attend an event with him. Designer dress, designer heels, jewelry, hair done, nails done, makeup done, handbag. He picked out the dress, heels and bag, and he asked me to find salons to have my hair, nails, and makeup done. When I told him how much the cosmetics appointments and the time I spent on them cost, he was upset it was $700. And adding that to the clothes he bought and the time we'd be at the event, it was coming to almost $2,000. We went and I played the part, it was uneventful. Nobody paid me much attention. Felt like a bit of a waste, but whatevs. But afterwards, when I mentioned that I wanted to borrow his card to make an appointment to get the nails removed, since I needed them filed down by a professional before work, he got frustrated with me, saying that I was milking him for money and I was only with him for money. I told him that I make the same as he does. He got pissed and said that most girls know how to dress themselves and do their own makeup nicely, and I got so frustrated I said sarcastically, go date most girls then, I'm sure most girls would love being treated like a human dress-up doll. He got really mad about that and I feel frustrated too, like he expects me to do crap unpaid for his work. Like I would never ask him to do crap for my job, let alone do my job unpaid. AITA for wanting to be paid if my labor was going towards my boyfriend's career? Edit, because there are a lot of questions about why I thought it was justified to ask for compensation for my time. The hair and makeup and nails and tailoring appointments took about 10 hours. I had to take a full day off work, and since I am a consultant who bills hourly, I was losing a day's wages to perform tasks my boyfriend wanted to benefit his career. If I ever asked my boyfriend to lose wages at his job to perform tasks for my job, I'd think it would be fair to pay him for his work too. I'm always happy to attend social events and be polite, friendly, and talk to people and get to know them. For free. But this wasn't what he was asking of me. He wanted me to act. To not speak of my actual hobbies or career, and to give the impression that I am a stay-at-home partner. To claim to ski. I have no idea how to ski. To only order classy drinks and none of the drinks I actually drink. That doesn't strike me as going to an event as a partner, that strikes me as going to an event as an actress or performer. Which is a whole job. Edit 2. I also find it very strange how feminine labor is undervalued. He said that he needed me to do something for him to support his career, because his bosses expect it of me. If this was any other kind of work, it would be absurd to do it unpaid. Like if he said, hey, my boss needs a truck loaded, and everyone knows that's what the girlfriends do. Can you come by and load the truck? Also, you'll need to bring your own forklift. Absurd. If he asked me, hey, my boss heard you're an engineering consultant and wants you to evaluate this software architecture. And he expects it for free because that's what girlfriends are for. That's absurd. I'd be sending my rates. So why is it acceptable to say, hey, my workplace expects me to bring a woman to play a very specific role, you will need to do 10 hours of preparation tasks for free for the benefit of my career. And you should cover the cost of parts and labor? I wish that was considered equally absurd. But it's almost like women's work and hospitality is an undervalued form of labor? We have reached the end of the first part of our story. Let's listen to some of the comments by our Reddit listeners. Comment 1. What keeps you together? I just read about two people who are completely incompatible. OP reply. He's not like this outside of work. He honestly puts on a whole different personality when he has to go to work, which up till now, I really wasn't exposed to because we kept our professional lives separate. Thing is, he seems happy to have a work persona that is entirely different from his real personality. I'm not. My coworkers get the same me as my friends, minus a bit of the excessive cussing and gossip. My coworkers know I'm basically a teenage dirtbag in a 28-year-old woman's body, and I still get respect because I'm kind and competent. And I like working in an environment where I can show up with pink hair that I dyed in the bathroom the night before and all people will say is cool hair. I love how you always have something new and unique. I wasn't aware of how restrictive his company's workplace culture was, and how he has a whole different persona he has to put on and take off every day. Comment 2. NTA, but maybe charging him for the time you spent at the event was too much and somewhat absurd. Edit. I saw OP's update. Holy kebab, the audacity of the guy. As for the clothes, makeup etc., this costs a lot. He can't demand you spend money on something that's not necessary for you but for him. There's a difference between accompanying your so to an event sometimes and looking presentable, and being almost a dress-up doll. You nailed it. If he wants a girly girl, he should get one.